Good morning, good afternoon, and potentially good evening to all of you. I really appreciate you taking the time. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting before, my name is John Quirk, and I am Director of Product for reporting products here at Patch My PC. So I head up the team that create our Advanced Insights platform and all the things associated with that. And I'll let Kieran introduce himself.
Hello, I am Kieran Mystery. I'm a customer engineer here at Patch My PC. You'll probably see me here, there, and everywhere popping up at events across the world at Patch My PC events and conferences and at webinars here and the support calls.
The purpose of today's webinar is to catch you up on a few different things that we've got going on. So we wanted to cover off, it's been a little while since we've had the opportunity to go over the Advanced Insights stack in a webinar. And so we wanted to take the opportunity to catch everybody up with what the current state is today. So we're going to spend a little bit of time at the beginning of this talking about Patch Insights and what the current state is of Advanced Insights for Configuration Manager, which is what we are now calling Advanced Insights for reasons that will become apparent. And that's because the second half of the webinar, predominantly what we want to talk about is a little bit about what's coming in Advanced Insights for ConfigMan, because we have a few things on the roadmap there. But the bigger part of the focus for that part of the webinar will be around the product that we have been developing that brings the same kind of functionality as we have experienced and got used to with the Config Manager stack through Advanced Insights, what we're doing to bring that to the Intune environment as well. So if you're just here for the Intune stuff, then by all means give us a little thumbs up and stick around, because we will be getting to that. But we have a bunch of other bits and pieces of stuff to cover off as well. I see thumbs. Excellent. Wow, how exciting. Okay, splendid. So without further ado, the first thing that I wanted to talk about, because what I've heard running around the world over the last few months, talking to customers about all of these kinds of things, is that there's a lot of people who are not necessarily familiar with our Patch Insights offering. So we just want to spend a few minutes. We'll have a quick look at that product and what onboarding of that product looks like and those kinds of things, which Kieran is very kindly going to take us through in a moment. But the sort of the key thing that we want to get across here is that if you are currently a Config Manager customer, then you are licensed for Patch Insights, whether you are on Enterprise Patch or Enterprise Plus. You have access to this product. I mean, there's a lot of customers who aren't aware of that, and so we're going to hand over to Kieran, I think, at this point, and he'll run us through a little bit of info around that product. And we'll have a bit of a chat about some of the stuff that we've been trying to do with this and Advanced Insights while we just take a look at that. So I think I can hand it over to you, Kieran.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I'm going to start off with a product demo of how to install it, and whilst we talk about Advanced Insights and Patch Insights as we install it. So just to show how simple it is to install the product itself, it shouldn't take a couple of minutes whilst I talk to you. So I've already pre-downloaded the installer. We only launched the 39th version yesterday. So I've just downloaded this to the server, and we're going to run through the install and see how quickly it installs on this server here whilst we chat about Patch Insights and what it can do. Here is some prereqs that we're going to install in the environment, which the installer will detect. And it's just going to install a couple of websites in the environment itself, sort of thing, and then we'll configure it to talk to the SCCM database. The key thing, like John mentioned earlier, this is available to all our customers that are Config Manager customers. So whether you're on Enterprise Patch or you're on Enterprise Plus, and then Enterprise Premium is also Advanced Insights. So it's the same install code. So we tell all our customers to install this. Once you're onboarded as a Patch My PC customer, you can select a web service certificate if you have one in this environment. But for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to create a self-signed certificate for myself. You can choose which port you want to use, or you can use a custom port for the front end. The API or is not configurable because it's hard coded, and then you can change this to use local system, or you can use an account if you wanted to. We'll click on next, and we can go and see a summary of the installation, and we're going to hit install as this goes ahead. So
one of the key things that we want to make sure that people understand around this is that the installer for Advanced Insights is also the installer for Patch Insights. They are the same product, and they are just what you see in the portal when you first launch it is determined by your license key. So irrespective of what level of licensing you have, if you're using Configuration Manager for your patch management today, and if you've got an on-premise environment, basically, then Patch Insights will pull data out of your Config Manager environment and give you a really enhanced reporting platform. So while I was just running through the setup there, it takes about 3 minutes. So it's not a particularly arduous thing. But what we wanted to talk about really was the reason that this stuff exists. So for the 115, 116, thank you, of you who are not using any of these tools at the moment, if you're an existing Patch My PC customer and using Config Manager, then you should download Patch Insights right now and just install it, and it'll just work. And then if you were interested in what we are going to look at in a moment around Advanced Insights, then your Patch My PC account exec will be able to just light it up for you in our backend licensing portal, so that you can try out the functionality that we have in the full Advanced Insights environment. And then if you choose to upgrade to our premium SKU for an additional $1.50 device a year list price, then you can carry on using all that functionality. And if you decide not to, it'll just drop back to the default Patch Insights functionality, still entirely usable and valuable, and something that you can get good info out of. And the reason this product exists is that we wanted to, obviously as a company, as you can see from my neon, patching is kind of the primary thing that we're interested in as a business. We have a commitment to our customers that will provide them with a rich set of capabilities to patch their third-party apps, and we want to make sure that we're able to enable you to demonstrate to yourselves and to anyone else in your environment who might be interested that you are actually achieving that. And it looks like it might be done, Kieran.
Yes, and we're done. We're done. Nice little filler there, John. So there is a question I want to answer whilst we're thinking. Kevin's put a question there: is what's the difference between our Power BI template and the patch compliance and patch insights? So Patch Insights is a reading your database your live config manager database itself. So whilst this installer is finished, by the way, I'm just going to click on the link and it's just going to open up in Edge. And so all the data that we're reading from within inside Patch Insights and Advanced Insights is actually into the Configuration Manager database. So live queries, so the data is live up to what Config Manager has collected. So the client side, have they done all the inventory data, whether it's hardware, whether it's software inventory itself. So let me just log in here, try this password. That one works. So we will read your Patch My PC license key itself. I'm going to put in another license key, which is going to give us Patch Insights. We'll validate your license key, and then you put in your Config Manager server name, and you put your Config Manager database name in. So you type in CM underscore whatever the database of your Config Manager server is. And then we'll click on Save and Test Settings. And then we should be able to go to our dashboard. So what we'll get in Patch Insights, so the logo will change at the corner, show you Patch Insights, and we get the home screen, we get an overview of what your Configuration Manager environment is. And we get this dedicated software update node itself, sort of thing. So we get to see a dashboard of has our software update point synchronized? Is there any updates that we need to deploy, sort of thing? There may be a misconfiguration where you've not deployed the update, but devices are showing their compliance. We see the update compliance scanning, so our device is scanning to Configuration Manager itself. We can show you your least compliant devices from here, and you can toggle this to show you your most compliant devices, or toggle by computer name on search. we can drill into the individual device, and then we can go and see what is the compliance of that device here. So we can see this device requires some updates, which I need to install, and then which updates are actually installed on the device itself. And then on the general tab as well, we can go and see some generic basic information of the device. We can see what it is. So this is a virtual machine. Is it online currently? When's this last time it's done its discovery? When it's done its hardware inventory information? If there's any pending restarts, that's quite handy to see as well. So all these are good, rich information, and then we can see generic information. Like you could see from the ConfigMgr console, we can go and see all the updates in the environment. If there's any software, all the software update groups. If you want to go and drill in and go and see which updates are in the software update groups, well, we can drill in straight away. We can go and see the members of that group. We can always go and export that data as well, which is quite handy. Or if I'm in a chat, like I'm talking to John, I can also share this function as well. So it copies it to the clipboard, and I can paste in this link here. Other handy things you can go see the updates deployment. So people want to see what is the deployment update status of it, so we can see how compliant we are with those deployments as well. So we can see these Windows 10 updates to which collection to target to and what the compliance is as well from there. And you can drill in further from here as well. We can go and see the enforcement status, what they stuck on. Are they stuck on like pending restarts, compliance? Probably create a little filter here. We can go and type in the word restart, and now I get like a quick report of 58 devices that are pending a restart as well. And as a quick overview of Patch Insights, I think I was going to hand it back to John for the next bits of slides.
Okay, thank you, Kieran. So, that hopefully answers the question about what the difference is between the Power BI dashboards. We also used to have some SSRS dashboards, which we have, or reports rather, which we have now retired. Basically, the difference is that between Power BI and Patch Insights. Patch Insights is a much more kind of responsive, intuitive, and arguably attractive interface with this data set. And essentially what we're trying to do with Patch Insights, and as we'll see in a minute with Advanced Insights, is we want to provide access to the data that you already have in Configuration Manager in just a more attractive, intuitive, and easy to use way, so that data is more accessible to more people in your organization. Okay, so if we can flip back over, Tony, to my screen share, to the slide deck here. We'll talk a little bit about what's new in Advanced Insights. Thank you very much. So just to bring everybody up to speed, Advanced Insights is the same product as we just saw, Patch Insights, except that it has more capabilities, just managed by your license key. So we launched the first version of this in 2023. Since then, we have had 38 releases of this product. And we're constantly adding new features. Obviously, occasionally we have bug fixes too, but a lot of the additional releases are feature based. And the way that we build most of the features that we add is based on our user voice. So if there are things that you want to see inside of your reporting platform that we don't provide today, then we really want to hear about those things. So you can always email me. I'm john@patchmypc.com. But also you can stick stuff into our user voice, which has a bit more attention from the wider team. Just to talk through a couple of the things that we have recently added. So one of the things that Advanced Insights is able to do is give you the ability to take action on remote devices. So you can interact with clients. We've had the capabilities to do things like reboots and hardware inventory initiation and install updates and those kinds of things. We've had that functionality for quite a while. In the last few months, we've added the capability to run those things in bulk as well, so you can reboot an entire collection, or send a notification to create a big long list of devices, if that's the kind of thing you want to be able to do. Another much asked for feature that our excellent colleague Josh built for us is our custom dashboard capability. We'll have a look at that in a couple of minutes, but it essentially allows you to build a custom view of the kinds of data that we're presenting in Advanced Insights. We've added in the links to documentation to support each dashboard, so that's a bit easier from a support perspective if you want to understand a bit more about what you're looking at or where that data comes from, and a whole host of new dashboards that I'll run us through in a demo as well. And this has been a really successful product for us. So there are over 6 million clients that are managed with Advanced Insights and Patch Insights today. This is a kind of very stable and well adopted product. So I think another thing I was going to mention was just some things that we have on the roadmap for Advanced Insights. So this is a screenshot of our coming packages dashboard. Everyone loves a legacy package. So at the moment, we provide you with reporting on applications, but we wanted to add a little bit of data in there for some of these older package bundles that we still need to support. So we're going to provide you with some good information there around things like where you have packages you might be able to get rid of because they're no longer distributed, or where the source path is not a UNC, and so you may have some problem with migration and backup and that kind of thing. So where there are errors and that sort of stuff, we're going to surface all those kinds of information and let you drill through it. So this is actually running code that you're seeing here. This isn't a mock-up. I imagine the next release of Advanced Insights will have this feature in it. Another thing that we're adding is because of some of the work that we've been doing for what we are going to bring to Intune. Obviously, Intune doesn't have a software update compliance engine, so we've had to build one of those. And we're going to introduce that into Advanced Insights as well, so that basically the inventory extensions that we have today in Advanced Insights that bring in details around things like battery health and disk health and all the other things that we've come to love, it will also scan against the Patch My PC catalog. And there's two reasons why this is good. The first thing is that it gives you pure compliance, even if you're not deploying, not syncing updates into your catalog. So if we've got applications that are in our catalog that you haven't synced into WSUS, we'll be able to tell you that you should do. And it also will allow us to give you some return on investment type of argument stuff where you're able to show to your management and anyone who might hold the purse strings what the kind of level of benefit that is coming from having the Patch My PC catalog in your environment brings as well. So there's a whole host of little bits and pieces of new stuff that we're bringing. We continue to develop our Advanced Insights on-premise product alongside our new investments in Intune. And so at that point, I'm going to flick over to here. So hopefully you can now see Advanced Insights. One thing that I was going to mention just off the bat was that I am demoing off the server that Kieran just used. So if I refresh this, actually what will happen is I've just realised it's going to fall back to Patch Insights.
Yeah.
Can you just swap the license key out for me?
I will swap the license key. So in the administration node, we can swap the license key. Our backend service will check this. You can currently see it says Enterprise Plus. I will change the license key behind the scenes, so we don't have to do anything in the foolery. So if John refreshes his screen now, he should see this will now switch to Advanced Insights. So this is how quick we can switch over from Patch Insights to Advanced Insights because it's the same install code.
Okay, and then I know that about a quarter of the people on the call are already using Advanced Insights, so apologies if we're rehashing old ground for you, but just for those people who've not seen this before, there are three key things that we're trying to do with Patch Insights and Advanced Insights. So the first thing that Patch Insights provides is we want to do a better job of presenting data that you already have in your ConfigMgr database. Although ConfigMgr has 500 reports, they are generally kind of hard to work with. Most of them don't have any graphical content at all. It's just text. And so we feel like we can do a better job of presenting that data to make it more usable to more people in your environment. So both Advanced Insights and Patch Insights do that. Then further to that, Advanced Insights has two other kind of pillars that we're built on. The second of which is that we want to extend the capabilities from a data gathering perspective for Config Manager. So Configuration Manager has an enormous database schema, which will give us info about hundreds of hardware classes. But a lot of those are somewhat antiquated. I'm sure there's people on the call who don't know what a PCM-CIA card is, and even if you know what a CD-ROM is, the chances are you're not really interested in inventory of those anymore. But ConfigMgr still gathers that kind of data, but it doesn't have any modern operating system properties. So one example of these is it has no details about battery health. And so one thing that our inventory extensions are going to do is it's going to extend inventory and bring in the details about the health of the battery in your device. And I can see here that this particular machine has got a problem with its battery, where the design charge is that it should have about 38,000 milliwatt hours, but it's actually only delivering 15,000, so it's depleted to about 40%. This device could do with its battery replacing. And we're going to bring in these additional inventory properties across a whole host of things. So, for example, a really nice demo that we have here is that Kieran has this device here. This is actually a dummy database. It's not really Kieran. But on his Lenovo ThinkPad P1, he's got 3 monitors. And what we're looking at doing here is in a scenario where a user rings a service desk and says that their middle monitor isn't working anymore, we want to bring to the fore all of the information that you might need as a service desk analyst in order to be able to respond to that kind of thing. And so what I can see here is quite data dense. This is the physical layout of the monitors on Kieran's desktop. So on the left-hand side, he's got a Dell. In the middle, he's got a Dell, but his primary monitor is still his laptop screen. I can see that the Dells are connected via DisplayPort and that one of them is from 2018 and one from 2019. So if the cat has chewed through the cable on Kieran's middle monitor, I know that the cable that I need to post out to him is a DisplayPort. But if the monitor's already 7 years old, then maybe I just actually want to send him a whole new device. And so we're going to bring these kinds of things in for all sorts of stuff. We're going to bring in storage health, or his SSDs wearing out. And where ConfigMgr doesn't have the data to support a whole host of these more advanced things, some of which are actually not that advanced. For example, ConfigMgr knows nothing about applications that are installed in the user profile. So where you've got user installed apps, then they can be really hard to manage with Configuration Manager. And so what we're going to do is show you all the devices that have those user installed apps. We'll show you what all of those apps are and how many copies there are. If you wanted to see which of these 87 devices that have got one password installed in the user profile, we'll show you a list of all those. So we'll allow you to basically get to the detail of any of the things that you're looking at here, where either it's native ConfigMgr data or it's information which we are building. And then beyond just extending hardware inventory to bring in a whole host of modern properties, browser extensions are always quite popular, for example. We're also going to further extend that data set then by reaching out into some third-party APIs. So we don't have warranty enabled in here, but I'll show you that in a live environment. But so one of the areas that we're going to superimpose a bunch of data on top of the ConfigMgr data set is to give you some visibility as to what your CVE posture is for software updates that are required in your environment. So if you've got a security team who are always badgering you about a Rapid7 or a Nessus report, then what this is going to do is help you to gain visibility into what action you need to take if you are not already doing so in order to address those software update related vulnerabilities and where the highest criticalities lie. So what this shows us is for the Microsoft stack, there are 6 critical updates that I need to deploy in order to address 5 critical Microsoft CVEs on 116 devices. These are all of the CVEs that are associated with the Microsoft stack in my environment, and these are all the CVEs that are associated with updates from the Patch My PC catalog. So as you can see, Microsoft have got all sorts of problems with the ODBC driver these days, with lots of vulnerabilities in that. And so if you wanted to understand precisely what it is that you need to do to address this vulnerability in your environment, then I can click through and see the specifics for this one issue. So the reason that we think that this is quite cool is that if you look at a report for this update in a tool like Rapid7, what it'll show you is loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of entries for this particular CVE. So these are all which updates are associated with this CVE. But the trouble is that the vast majority of these are just not going to be relevant for our environment if you don't have Windows 10 on ARM and this kind of stuff. And so although we'll show you everything that could be associated with it, what we want to do on this exposure tab is show you precisely what you need to do. These are the affected devices, and these are the updates that address it. And then what you can do is just drill into these and see precisely the details about what's going on. Am I already deploying this update via a software update group? No, I'm not. It's not rolled out. And so actually I should do something to address this. So I've got some work I need to do in my software update node. The other area that we're going to touch on with this stuff for reaching out into external services is around warranty information as well. So I'll just switch environments here and just quickly show you that. So one of the things that I can see here is that I want to be able to show you information about which devices you've got that are out of warranty, that are nearing end of warranty, which warranties are across which different vendors, and then all of the specific information about those particular warranted systems. And so this will allow me to see things like for all of these devices that are out of warranty, I can see the specifics for that individual warranty for the device. So this is an Inspiron 5370. It's not in warranty because it ran out in 2018. And so if its battery is failing, I'm going to have to find another way of handling that. So the second pillar that we wanted to talk about there, first pillar, better job of presenting data that you've already got in an interactive, intuitive way. Second pillar, extend that data set with modern inventory classes and by reaching out into some third-party APIs. And then the third thing, as I mentioned in the presentation, is we want to be able to give you the ability to take action. So we don't just want this to be a pretty face for the ConfigMgr data set. We also want you to be able to do things. And so, for example, if you can see here a bunch of machines that require a reboot. If I wanted to reboot this one machine, then I can just push a restart to it from here, and it'll give me the option to reboot this machine if I have been given the rights to do this by my administrator. So we have a control over who gets to do what in this interface. And then all of the actions which are available natively in Configuration Manager as a right click, so download computer policy, run a hardware inventory now, evaluate your app deployments, all those actions are surfaced in here, so you don't need the ConfigMgr console for this kind of stuff. But also we have our own actions, which we've added into this to do things like install all available updates now, clear the cache, repair the client. I can send a notification to the desktop of this particular machine, and it'll just pop up in the user's interactive session. Also, that notification picks up the branding from the software center, so it shows that it is from your organization, that kind of stuff. I can invoke remote control, etc., etc. Now, when Kieran showed you the Patch Insights device view that we're looking at here, it didn't have any of those actions because that's only a feature of Advanced Insights, but it also didn't have all of these other tabs. It just had the Update tab. This device view is going to show you everything we know about a particular client and bring it all into this one view and allow you to interact with that. So if I want to, I can add and remove devices from collections. If I wanted to add this device into my demo collection, then I could do so from here. If I wanted to remove it from a collection that it's a static member of, then I could do so here as well. So there's loads of capabilities around that kind of thing. What I can also do is I could pick a list of these devices. So this is a sort of subset of things that I'm interested in. And then I could create a new collection for that set of devices. So I could pick which limiting collection I'm going to use, pick which folder I want to present it in, and then go off and make a collection for all of those machines that I've just selected. And I can also select as many of these devices as I want, say all of them, and then I can run any of those actions that I just saw that are available as an individual client's level. I can run those against all of these devices as well. So if I wanted to reboot all of these machines, ConfigMgr, Advanced Insights will work out from ConfigMgr which of them are already online, because you can't reboot a device that's offline in a minute, and then it'll warn you, are you sure you want to reboot these 145 devices? And then I can go off and say yes to that if I wish to, because this is a fake environment. It doesn't actually work, but you can provide these kinds of capabilities to your team as well. And so those are the kinds of three key things that we care about as far as Advanced Insights is concerned. Do a better job of presenting data you already have and potentially have had for years. Extend that data with our own inventory extensions across all sorts of things. This is user profile data, for example, and then superimpose a bunch of third-party API stuff on top of that if you wish, and then also give you the ability to take action on things that you see in the portal. For example, here we'll show you orphaned profiles. These will be profiles that are on devices that where the user's account has been deleted, and so if I wanted to, I could delete these from here and just push a delete command to that particular profile. So there's lots of dashboards in here. There's data about everything associated with Configuration Manager, even down to some quite nerdy stuff. So this is our content sources dashboard. This will show you where each individual client is getting its content from for any particular workload. So you can see when Patch Tuesday was in our environment here. That's when we had a big fallback to Microsoft. It will show you the impact of caching technologies, which distribution points are busiest, etc., etc., etc. There's hundreds of different data points in here that we can use for our reporting needs. And then another thing that I wanted to show that was a newish thing that we've added recently is our custom dashboard capability. So as you've seen, there's lots of stuff in here. If you've got exec is a common need that we see that I want to show our executives, stuff like the updates which are required in the environment. I want to show them our computer compliance, our deployed update details, and I want to show them anything really. I mean, it could be software metering or your client inventory or anything that we have in the environment. You can just go through and pick out those specific objects, and then I can just add those to a dashboard. Give it a name, exec dashboard. Pick an icon for it. I always like to use the ambulance when it's an exec one, and then I can just I can move these around and sort of get it looking exactly how I want it. I can also apply custom filters to these objects. So if I wanted to have multiple tiles, so maybe one chart for one update and another chart for a second update that I wanted to keep track of, then I could add multiple items of the same one and just apply different filters. I can assign this to an individual role, or I can give it to an individual, and then when I save this dashboard, it'll appear in the nav item for anyone who has rights to it. So as you can see, it needs a bit of layout work, but it basically gives me access to provide that kind of view. And then the final thing I wanted to show before I'll just check if there's any questions was that another facility that we added in relatively recently to Advanced Insights was the ability for you to plot your deployment trend for individual updates. So what this is going to show us is for any update, this is the servicing stack for Windows, how long did it take me to first install it from when it was published into the catalog? It took me a long time, 244 days. How long to get to 50% of the deployment target? How long for 90%? And then if I've reached it, how long for 100%? And so I can do this for any actively deployed update in the environment. So this is a friendlier one for my purposes, in that it only took me 1 day to first deploy this, so I've done a good job there. It only took me 4 days to get to 50%, so you can see we did really well here, painting out the red wall of need with the green wall of success. And then basically it took us 30 days to get to 90% and 86 days to get to 100. So I've completed the work here. This is now installed on everything that needs it, and I should get a pat on the back. So at that point, I'm going to just check in with Corey if we've got any questions that anyone's asking that we should address now, otherwise we'll move.
There is a couple of questions. I'm not Corey, I'm Kieran, obviously. So the right-click actions, can we just go through that quickly again, John? Just to go over what are the functions we can do in Advanced Insights. So we can do machine policy updates, we can get it to do hardware inventory, user policy, data discovery, and software inventory. And then for compliance, we can also move over, we can do app evaluation, software update evaluation, which is one of the questions I've just seen. And if you're still using the malware, you can do a quick scan and a full scan.
Yeah, that's if you're using Defender. Yeah. And so basically the evaluate app deployments and evaluate update deployments, these are exactly the same as the right-click options that you've got in the ConfigMgr console. It basically has the device check policy and then evaluate whether there's any updates which are required. What it won't do is this action that we have here, where if there is an update which is required, if there's unless there's a deadline that forces it to install now, then it'll just wait until that occurs, in which case you can circumvent that and basically force it to install updates now. So a common scenario is download compute policy, install update, so these are ours, and these are ConfigMgr ones. Notify is also ours. This is part of our inventory extensions client side. It has a WMI provider that will accept a message from us and pop up on the user's desktop. Remote control just invokes the ConfigMgr remote control client. Restart obviously does a restart, and we will attempt to wake the device up if it's offline, assuming you have Wake Online configured in Configuration Manager and have managed to get that to work, which really is the lap of the gods. So those are the kinds of key right-click type actions that we have that would be hiding under the right-click options in the portal. The only other bits and pieces of stuff in here generally are around managing collection membership, and then also managing the user profile stuff if you want to delete user profiles. So I think those are in here. So you have the ability to delete profiles off remote devices if those profiles are not used. You should use that with great caution, though, because when you click on delete, it does pop up and say, "Are you sure?" But then when you do that, it runs delprof at the remote end, and then everything in that profile is gone and it is unrecoverable. So use with caution. You can control, let me just drop down here a little bit. You can control in administration under roles. You can specify which users have which permissions. And so if you don't want to give people the ability to delete user profiles, you don't have to grant them that right. And these roles can be associated to AD groups. So if someone from the service desk logs in for the first time, they will only see the ability to do a repair of the client, for example, and whichever options that you give them in terms of objects, they should be able to view in the nav bar. And you can see here as well that custom dashboard that I added for the exec is also included in this. So you can grant rights that way as well. So quite common for service desk type scenarios to just create a specific dashboard for things that they're going to care about and hide the rest of this complexity away. Anything else, Dan?
Someone just asked where was delete user profile again. That was the last question that was in the thing. So
two places.
A couple of ways. Yeah.
User profiles, and we'll show you a great big long list of them here. So you could sort by things like the profile age, find really old profiles. I mean, obviously these are tiny, and then you could delete those from here. And then also, if you look in an individual device under the users tab, there's a sub tab of user profiles, and you can delete those from in there as well.
Did you also mention about BitLocker key recovery?
Oh, thank you. Well remembered. So something else that we added was here on the hardware tab under disks. If the device is encrypted with BitLocker and you meet various other criteria, then we will allow you, again, this is a grant that you have to be given, but if the BitLocker recovery key is green, then basically we will allow you to extract that, so we'll decrypt that recovery key for you and present it to the support person who can then copy and paste it and send it to the end user. So we'll give you the ability to surface recovery keys in from BitLocker as well. Thank you, Kieran. Forgot about that.
No problems. And also, key bit about Advanced Insights, it's web-based, so you can scale this out to any of your teams, whether it be admin people, whether it's app managers, whether it's service desk. You can create custom roles inside here, not just custom dashboards, so you can just scale this out to anybody in your team. And we follow our back from ConfigMgr as well, so if we're only scoped to certain collections, that's all they'll see in Advanced Insights as well.
Our kind of outbound messaging around the question that Kieran and I get asked on a daily basis at conferences around this is all well and good, but I am moving on from Configuration Manager and shifting my workloads to Intune, and we want the same kind of capabilities. So my team and also our team in the US have been working extremely hard for quite some time on bringing the same level of capability as we've come to know and love with Advanced Insights to the Intune world. So as with the complaint that we hear about Configuration Manager is that it builds a good data set, but it doesn't present it well. The complaints we hear about Intune are that it doesn't even do that. And so the challenge with particularly Intune customers who are coming from the Config Manager world is that you lose a lot of power. So there is very little data compared to Configuration Manager in the Intune interface. That data which is available to us, some of which is super useful, is still presented in an absolutely atrocious reporting interface. And that reporting interface provides us with occasionally unexpected and inaccurate results. It isn't at all uncommon, as I'm sure you're aware, to see a top-level donut chart that shows you that 50 machines are in a particular state, and then when you click through that, you see 76 machines or 10. And basically, just because of the way that Intune is built and the way that the Intune data summarization processes work in the back end, sometimes the data that you are looking at the top level could be 1 hour old, but everything in the drill through level could be 24 hours old, and so you commonly are kind of tearing out your hair, and so what we want to do to try to address that is to give you the same kind of capability that you are accustomed to with Advanced Insights, to give you your Intune data at your fingertips in a more intuitive and more attractive and more workable way. In particular, we want to provide the same level of compliance reporting for Patch My PC and, where possible, for Microsoft as you're accustomed to with Configuration Manager. One of the challenges with Intune is you can deploy the apps from the Patch My PC catalog and the updates from the Patch My PC catalog, and you can enable WFB and an auto patch and all that kind of good stuff. But you then broadly just have to trust to the Intune gods that it'll actually do the thing that it wanted to do. And then, as I'm certain that you're aware, there is very little in terms of hardware inventory from Intune clients, and so there are a number of hardware inventory properties, some of which we just looked at in Advanced Insights, that would be really useful in Intune environments as well. And so this is, I think, our official statement coming soon, and but I can give you a little run around where we're at the moment. So the state of Advanced Insights for Intune today is that we are in private preview. So we have customers, some of whom I know are on this call, thank you, gentlemen, who are using Intune Insights today. We onboarded a number of our customers at the MMS MOA conference last month in Minneapolis, and we have been getting great feedback and data from those customers, and we're now building out towards our GA later this year. So you'll be familiar, I'm hoping, with the Patch My PC catalog. This is it. So if you wanted to deploy an app or an update, then you would obviously just pick it out here. One thing that you'll notice in my portal, which is something that the majority of you won't have in yours today, is that I've got a reporting node. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click here on this Intune node. So our reporting offering in Advanced Insights for Intune is going to come in 2 tiers in the same kind of way that Patch Insights and Advanced Insights does today. So our intention today is that this Intune node that I'm looking at here right now, this will be available to everyone in the current SKU. So if you've got Enterprise Plus today, which would be our default Intune SKU, then you will get access to this as soon as it is available. And this Intune menu nav is basically giving us access to this current set of data, and we will build out more in here. So this is just our first stab at this, but this is all data which is coming live from the Microsoft Graph. So one of our data providers, our first data provider, is that we're going to hit the Graph and present data that is available to you in the Graph using the kind of interface that you're accustomed to with Advanced Insights today. So what this is going to show us is across the top a bunch of managed devices, any devices which are non-compliant. And as with Advanced Insights, you can always click through these things and we will show you additional data about those particular objects. So here's the two policies that are non-compliant and the number of devices and all that kind of good data. We'll show you a list of all of the managed apps that you have in your Intune environment. There's 225 in this, so it'll take a second to load. We'll show you details about whether these are assigned or not and what you're doing with them. So that's all kind of handy. We'll give you a full inventory of all of the discovered apps. So you'll be familiar with your discovered app inventory inside of Intune. And so we're going to surface that data as well because this is useful info for us. And then we're going to start to do some more interesting things with some of the other data that's available in Intune. So this is a list of our Intune builds, for example. Windows builds, rather. So all the machines which are on this particular version of Windows 11 and whose devices they are, if we know, and that kind of stuff. We'll also show you information about the breakdown of the makes and models of machines that you've got, some compliance information. So if you want to see, here we could see up here that there's some devices which are non-compliant. We're going to break that down in a similar way here, which is show you a different graphical representation of it. When did we last hear from machines? So maybe if we've got things that are aging out of the infrastructure and should be decommissioned from Intune, I'll surface that here. I've got a free disk space chart, but I think we might be getting rid of that because the data set doesn't perform very well for us right now. But we're going to show you details, for example, about devices which are not encrypted. If I then drill into this, I'll show you how we're going to surface additional info around what model is this? Is it ready to be encrypted and just should be but isn't, or not? But what the overall sort of status of that is. So you can see a bunch of these basically don't have TPMs, and so they're not really ever going to be able to be encrypted. And then we saw in Advanced Insights a quick glimpse of our Windows 11 readiness. We're going to show you the same kind of capabilities in here as well. So where you've got devices that can't be upgraded to Windows 11, we'll show you which those devices are, what make and model they are, and then what the reason is that they can't be upgraded. Because it's possible that maybe a firmware upgrade might sort out the TPM for you or something like that. But here you can see that these are basically CPU family, RAM storage, CPU family, and TPM. This one's definitely never getting upgraded. So we want to give you some sort of insight into those kinds of things. This is early days, really, as far as our graph stuff is concerned. We're building a lot of graph endpoints, and we will add in a lot of additional kind of graph data as we get there. But as I'm sure you all know, the graph and the Intune data set is limited. So what I've shown you there is where we have begun when it comes to the kind of experience that we will be providing across other things. So we will be bringing in things like deployment statistics and that kind of stuff. But this is our kind of experience that we're going to have in our existing Enterprise Plus SKU. For customers who upgrade to our Enterprise Premium SKU, things get a little bit more advanced. And so the first thing that I want to show you is that, and this is something that even our early adopter customers don't have today. This will be pushed into our prod environment shortly. But we have an agent which is deployed into our private preview customers today. So we've got tens of thousands of agents running already in live company environments. The Patch by PC agent is a really lightweight reporting agent today that basically you will deploy from this interface. It works exactly the same way as deploying an application from our catalog, but we basically give you some functionality so you can have a preview version as well as a production version, and you can basically just target particular groups for this. Intune will then deploy the agent out to your devices, and we use the Intune configuration on the client side to automatically work out which tenant in the Patch My PC environment that your devices should join. Once that has happened, your agent devices begin to flow into the dashboard views here. And so basically what we're trying to do is where it is appropriate, we're looking to replicate the functionality that we have inside of Advanced Insights. And so you'll see that this looks really very similar indeed to the Patch Insights and Advanced Insights experience that we saw earlier. So we're going for a similar look and feel, can't improve on perfection, and we're going to show you a whole host of stuff. All of the data that you're looking at here has been built by our agent. None of this is graph-based. And so you can see that in this environment, I've got 102 agents deployed. I've done a bunch of application inventory. So this is going to show us all of the inventory data from those machines from a software perspective. And one of the things that I really want to highlight is that compared to the experience I showed you a moment ago in the graph, which, is not terrible, but this is wicked fast. So if you want to see applications installed in the user profiles, then we'll show you that. And similarly, we mentioned that we're bringing in browser extension inventory into Configuration Manager. We're going to do the same thing in here as well. So if you want to keep track of the browser extensions that are installed in your environment, even if the people building them are putting emojis in their names, which really upset us when we first learned about that, then we're going to surface those in here as well. We'll show you a nice graphical, clickable view of all of your agent views and that kind of stuff. So everything that you see from a chart perspective and that kind of thing is always clickable, and you can drill through for further data. So these are all really quite data dense. We'll break down the Windows SKUs for you, your device specs, and some of these, as in Advanced Insights, are more data dense than others. So if you wanted to see, this is a breakdown of memory configurations. If you want to see which is this machine that's got 50 or the 9 machines that have got 15 gig of RAM, then again, you can drill through and you can see the specifics for that. So these are nicely pivotable and data dense and all those kinds of things. And will also allow you to view all of the data that's used to build this chart. So if you just wanted to get a quick view of absolutely everything associated with this data set, then we'll show you that in here. And then we're also going to bring in compliance data, but I'll show you that on the software updates page. So this page is dedicated to software updates, and we're going to show you information that is from the Patch My PC catalog. And we're also going to show you information that is from Windows Update. This is a work in progress, as you can see. But what we want to do basically is try to provide you with visibility as to what your software update compliance looks like, whether you're talking about the Microsoft data set or you're talking about the Patch My PC data set. And so this experience should look very familiar to anyone who has a Configuration Manager and Patch Insights or Advanced Insights today. And it's basically exactly the same kind of experience, except that we're having to build all of this ourselves. So we have extended the functionality that we began to work on when it came to our inventory extensions to bring in additional hardware inventory properties to build in our own software update compliance engine and all that kind of good stuff. So what's happening here is that our clients are on a schedule, which is once a day by default, are scanning against the Patch My PC catalog and bringing their compliance data back into the tenant. So all this data is stored in your tenant and basically allows you to see what your software update compliance looks like pretty much live for all of the Patch My PC updates which are relevant for your environment, whether you're deploying them or not. And so you can see here that 1Password is very active, and so it's been superseded a bunch of times, but you can see what your sort of compliance looks like against those. If you want to see for the latest version, there's one machine which requires it. A bunch of machines that haven't scanned against this version of the catalog yet, because this will be the one that came out this morning. But I can drill in and see exactly the same kind of capability as I see inside of Advanced Insights. So it's going to show us all of the kind of status for the individual machines, as well as the metadata from our catalog that covers everything about this specific update. So still work to do around this, but basically we're going to show you some good information about what's actually happening for each individual update. What we're then going to do is we're going to show you down here the same kind of thing, but from a per machine perspective. And so what I can see here is the version of the catalog that they've scanned against. So the current version in our environment is 232, and these machines have all scanned against that version. So this is bang up to date, which is why there's no unknown information here for these devices. These are all machines which have scanned today. And I can see that there's 136 updates which are applicable to this particular machine. 117 of them are installed, but there's 19 that are not. And so then I can drill in, again, a similar kind of experience with metadata about the device. And then on the updates view, we'll show you exactly the same kind of experience, what's installed, what's not installed. These are the updates which are currently required on this device. These are the updates which are installed on it. So we're going to give you a good kind of view as to like where you may need to do some work as far as the Patch My PC update landscape is concerned, and are you bringing yourself into compliance as you expect to. And so this is not the same thing as deployment compliance, where you're looking at deployment statistics from Intune. First of all, they lag quite considerably, but also that's just about installation success or not. This is a raw compliance detection. We run all of the detection logic that's installed, that's held in our catalog against each of the clients and bring the results of that compliance scan back. And then the next thing that we wanted to do with our capabilities in Intune is we want to provide a better hardware inventory kind of experience. And so, as you know, there's very little provided as far as Intune natively is concerned. And so we wanted to bring in some of the properties that we know people really appreciate from the Advanced Insights experience. So, for example, if you care about monitors, we saw an example earlier where I looked at a particular machine and saw the monitors that were installed on it. So we want to provide you with a similar kind of thing here. So we're basically going to pull in all the details about the external monitors that are connected to the devices in exactly the same kind of way as we did for Configuration Manager. And we'll let you pivot these to, if you wanted to break down a list of all your monitors by size, or if you wanted to see the resolution that people have them at, or, all of these kinds of, the years of manufacture and those kinds of things. And also, as with everything else, we'll let you view all of that chart data in a consumable form as well. And right now, today, these are not exportable, but by the time we get to GA, you'll also be able to manipulate and export this data too. Here we'll see some battery specs. So we're going to bring in battery health. Got very unhealthy batteries for some devices in the environment. And so I like to joke about how Brian Dam has a very unhealthy battery on his device. And that's not a problem because Brian is not a power user. And so it's not a problem that he's got that. But then if I look at Brian's displays, he has 3 monitors, which are different sizes. And that's very much a power user move. So maybe I've misinterpreted that. But you can see here basically the exact same kind of experience as we have in Advanced Insights from Configuration Manager, where here we're able to view that data from a device that's Intune managed. And we'll show you a whole bunch of other stuff in here as well. So we're going to bring in disk information about what their capacity is and what their free space is and those kinds of things. Physical memory breakdown. So this is down to the individual DIMM. So we'll show you what the DIMM configuration of the device is. We're going to show you information about the health of the drives. So is this thing healthy? Is it beginning to degrade? That kind of thing. We saw battery already, but that's basically the PAL CSG output for that. Details about its CPU, of course, and then we're also going to bring in graphics data. And we'll be adding more things to this. We have like wireless controllers and those kinds of things in Advanced Insights, and so we will port that data too. But basically, we're looking to provide you with a really rich experience when it comes to the Intune client set, by providing a whole bunch of additional capabilities that Microsoft just don't provide with Intune natively. And I think with that, I have completed my demos.
A couple of repeat questions, John, about costings for reporting what we're going to have. So I'll repeat what you said earlier. Anything that's going to be graph call related, so in the Intune node that you see in the reporting, will be in Enterprise Plus. Everything else was
that will be unchanged, yes. So the idea is, so this isn't yet written in stone, but our intention today is that this feature, the Intune reporting feature here, using graph queries, and like I say, there will be more of this, but that will all be included in the existing Enterprise Plus SKU. That's our intention. Everything beyond that, so basically anything which requires the agent and gives you the more advanced reporting capabilities, will be going into our premium SKU. So if you have Enterprise Premium today, that's how you get access to Advanced Insights. And our intention today, and again, we're not guaranteeing this, but I'm pretty sure this is how it's going to work out in the short term, at least, if not beyond. Our intention is that our premium SKU will bring you all of the agent data. So the difference from a list price perspective for those is that Enterprise Plus today is $3.50 a device per year, and Enterprise Premium is $5 a device per year list. And then obviously there are scale discounts and NFP discounts and that kind of thing, depending on your particular situation. But really, all I want to say is I'm very, very grateful that you all took the time. Thank you very much. If you have any feedback for us, then we'll happily receive it. There's a QR code here and a link that will basically give you access to the download location for Advanced Insights and Patch Insights. If you need any support with any of that kind of thing, Kieran at patchmypc.com, he will happily sort you out. But obviously, the usual support route for any issues that you may have, but you should find it pretty straightforward. I can also get you Kieran's home mobile if that would be necessary, or you can just grab him at a conference. Where's next? Oslo next week for you, Kieran?
Oslo next week. I'm in Workplace Ninja in Edinburgh in a couple of weeks' time, so feel free.
As will I, so please grab us there if you're coming along. I've got an expenses budget, and we'd be really love to see you. But if you have any further questions, then you know how to get hold of us, and that will call it a day. But I'm very grateful for your taking the time and look forward to seeing you again soon.